Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the comedy extravaganza that is The Adventures of E. Strap yourselves in because in this podcast we dive into hilarious personal stories, mishaps, and everyday life. From the awkward encounters at the grocery store to trying to adult in a world that seems determined to trip us up at every turn. So whether you're listening during your commute or just kicking back with a cup of coffee, get ready to laugh until your sides hurt. Here's your host, Elissa.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another wonderful episode of The Adventures of E. And Jason.
The Adventures of E.
And Jason.
And Jason.
Jason.
Hello.
Hello, Governor. Wow, that was awkward. You know, that's my new, coping mechanism, too, and really, tough spots.
What's
apparently, as I turn British now.
Yeah, I think you'd mentioned
that.
No! On a previous episode, yeah.
Well, I'm telling you again, no thank you.
No thank you.
Hello, everybody. We're so glad that you're back with us again today.
Yes, and make sure to like and subscribe and share. We've got the videos going on YouTube. Make sure to follow the YouTube channel.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road or the YouTube channel.
Or the Brown Brick Road, I don't know.
Yeah,
anyways.
Maybe.
So, yeah, just subscribe, like, follow. We appreciate it.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it. Do it. So I have some things to tell you about.
Okay. Throw it on me. Well, not literally.
It makes me want to sing a song, but I shall refrain.
Okay.
So I went to a new department, and it is a dumpster fire. 24/7. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And thank God my preceptor has been so nice to me.
Well, good.
She's been like a second mother.
Good.
In a new department. And I had a really bad migraine the first day. And she's like, honey, if you tough it out, I'll make sure you make it. And she did. But my point of it is that second day, she was like, Elissa, go take a 10-minute break. You need a breather. I had gotten hangry.
Uh-oh.
Hot, overstimulated.
You're not.
That's the day I called you.
Yeah, you're not yourself when you're hungry. You
No.
eat Snickers.
I don't even turn into Betty White. I turn into Danny DeVito. But yeah.
Jersey Mike's.
I forgot he was on that.
Yeah.
I always think he's funny. But
yeah.
Anyway. So yeah. So that was my good story for the day.
Gotcha. So your preceptor's been taking care of you and mothering you.
She has.
Nursing the nurse.
Yes, nursing the nurse. And then the educator of said department had added me as a friend on Facebook in order to add me to another Facebook group that they have, to pick up shifts or whatnot. So the next day I saw her and I said, hey, that was you, right? Because I don't know a lot of these new people and
right.
I struggle with names sometimes. Right. And I was like, that was you, right? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I didn't do it to be a creeper. And then she goes, so I may have stumbled on your podcast.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, oh, yeah? She goes, you didn't listen to episode 2, did you? She goes, no, I just saw the reels on Facebook. And she goes, I got to tell you, you're our people. And I started laughing and I said, well, whatever you do, don't listen to it with the kids in the car.
Yeah, no
She's
no
like,
children.
Thanks for the note.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'll definitely be listening. So, I mean.
Yeah, when I upload our podcast, I have to make sure to mark them as explicit.
Yeah.
Because if they go up to,
because some people aren't like Tom and let their 12-year-old listen.
Well, yeah, not even that old. But, Apple Podcasts is really ridiculous about it. If they, find something that's explicit and it's not
you didn't mark it.
Yeah,
they'll yank you, I'm sure.
They will yank you out of there so quick, it's not even funny.
Well, and that's fair. But,
yeah.
I mean, I just think it's safe to mark every episode explicit content because I'm always saying, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you.
Fuck this, fuckity, fuck.
Fuck.
Fuck. Yep. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, that's been my fun times. But I also wanted to comment, and this isn't because of any one thing or any one person, but my mental health has really been struggling lately. I don't know why. I don't know if it's been a change in my meds, which is a possibility, among other things. So I've always told you guys, I'm 100% here to be my authentic self. So I want to apologize if the podcasts haven't been the greatest. It's because my mental health has been terrible. And thank God for Jason. Anytime I get saddies, what do? You take me to Hobby Lobby and TJ Maxx and you buy me office supplies.
Yeah, or take you to Target and buy you a comforter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought me office supplies the other day. I love office supplies. It makes me feel like I have my life together when I clearly don't.
And that's why we have like a spare office full of office supplies that don't get used in the office.
They get used, though. Like, I use them at work a lot.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit in packages.
I didn't ask you, sir.
Just saying. I mean, we
Don't-
have a collection. You know, we could open our own.
Don't degrade my mental health.
No, I'm not. We could open our own.
Office supply store?
Yes. We could
That's
be
accurate.
like Alyssa's Staples.
I love Post-it notes. I feel like I could be what Romy and Michelle. My high school reunion is actually coming up. Actually, it's like next month.
You're-
Yeah. What is it? 20 years.
Yeah, mine was last year.
Definitely I'm not going. No offense. I just don't really talk to anybody.
Mm-mm.
And look, until I'm like a size 2.5 and looking good and successful, I don't want to go back. Because I would be the one that was like, I totally invented Post-it notes. That's
Okay.
me as a person.
Okay. Yeah, you just want to just kind of get out there and just rub it into everybody's face.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I need to be like CrossFit, not looking.
Well, just so you know, I mean, size and physical fitness does not directly correlate with success.
That is accurate, but I meant for my own personal. This
Fair
is for
enough.
me.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
I
for
get
me.
that. I get that. I'm just saying, in the perception of other people.
So I actually had a preceptor who she is one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And she believes in God, which to each their own. I do too, but I just don't talk about it on a regular basis. Like, we just don't talk about that kind of stuff, and that's fine. That's not something I want to talk about anyway. But she was like, Alyssa,
Yeah, we try and leave religion and politics
out
of
of
this shit.
things, yeah. And I'm no good at it anyway, so it's probably better off. But anyway, she was like, I believe like everybody comes into our life for a reason and a season, and I truly do believe that too. I believe the
Right.
universe is always at work in
Right.
some sort of way. And she just happened to turn on my podcast, and when I tell you, this woman is the most beautiful person I've ever seen inside and out. And she was like, I just happened to listen to one episode, and it was the episode about your weight. And she pulled me aside and she made me cry, like in a good way. She was like, I want you to know that the first time I ever met you, I didn't see your weight. I saw you for who you are.
Right.
And she said, I don't know your husband, obviously, but just listening in that episode, just the one episode, because she goes, I was folding laundry and I turned it on. She said, he loves you just for who you are. And I said, oh, I know. Like, that poor man, trust me, I know he does, because he wakes up sometimes next to Sasquatch, living with Sasquatch. And so I was like, no, I know he does. Like, I'm very lucky and he's a wonderful person. And she said, but I want you to know, like the rest of the world, people don't see you like you see yourself. And I said,
Right.
I know I'm trying to have a nicer voice to myself. And that is something I'm working on every single day.
Yeah.
That's the trauma of my life.
Yeah, and that's something that, I think all of us kind of struggle with, that internal, who am I and do I love myself? Do I not? Why don't I love myself, or why?
Well, I don't know what self-love is. I
Right.
truly don't.
Yeah, and some people don't, and some people do, or they have an idea of it, or like this dream of what it could be, and they don't necessarily know how to connect with it in certain ways.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you kind of struggle
Yeah.
with sometimes, is being able to connect with what that deeper meaning internally is for
Well,
yourself.
and I've always had a very critical inner voice. I always have. Like you say, you don't have an inner voice necessarily. I have a very critical one. Very critical, to the point where, like, I've been in the new unit for three shifts.
Mhm.
And I was like to my preceptor, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm not learning enough. I'm not quick enough. And she was like, Alyssa, it's literally your third day as a nurse in a new area. Like, you were doing wonderful. And
Yeah, give yourself some credit. Yeah.
I'm just so hypercritical of myself that I don't see the good. And I
Right.
need to do better about that. I do for other people.
Yeah.
Just not necessarily myself.
Yeah, and it's it's a daily work on kind of thing.
So speaking of, I was driving home the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and this thought about thongs popped in my head.
Okay.
Like, this is literally how this works.
Yeah.
I was actually behind a truck. It was like one of those little S10, like the real ugly
Little mini truck, like
the,
older
the-
mini
yeah.
truck. Yeah.
And I was like, that's just a little mini truck pretending to be a truck. And then it got me thinking about thongs and how they pretend to be underwear. And the women wearing said thongs, pretending like they're comfortable.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
There's no way that
Yeah.
a tiny string up your ass crack is comfortable. You listen, Gina, you cannot convince me otherwise.
no, and it's like I've put on a banana hammock before, long time ago.
Not around me, man.
No, this was years ago. I learned
need
that lesson.
pictures or it
No,
didn't
No,
happen.
there are no pictures. No, never. But the level of discomfort, mentally and physically, for the invasion of physical privacy that this piece
In
of
your butthole?
fabric, this piece of fabric just invaded that privacy. And it's like,
Definitely don't drop the soap now.
no. It's like fucking snack time. It's
I know.
gone.
Like, how is that comfortable? Okay.
No.
If I had a perfectly round rear end and things didn't rub, like maybe I still don't think it would be comfortable.
But I guess my thing is, like, if you're going to wear that tiny little piece of fabric, why just not wear anything at all?
Don't wear anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I saw this viral thing of this underwear that actually doesn't have strings on the side. And it goes from the front, and then it has a piece that goes to the back, and it's like almost like a...
What is it? Just
it
like
clips.
clamp?
It like clamps.
Clamps against
And I was
your...
like, that takes on a whole new meaning to clam slam, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like, it's just... Oof. No. There's
Well,
so much pressure.
I'm just saying, listen, Rhonda, you cannot tell me that thong is comfortable, because I don't believe your ass.
Yeah.
I don't believe your uncomfortable ass.
Literally, don't believe your
There's
ass.
no way.
Like, we're looking at your ass. It doesn't work.
There's 2 and 2 do not make 4 here.
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
So, there is something that I did want to talk about on this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see in the notes here. Yeah. There was, we talk about like parenting and
Fails.
Fails, and then things we learned from and growth and all this other
Okay.
stuff.
I'll tell the story.
So there was a time, a long time ago. We'll just say a long time ago.
Like years.
Yeah, years
and years
ago,
and years ago.
when the man child actually enjoyed playing sports, like really enjoyed, playing football and some of the kid
And
leagues.
he was really good at
Yeah,
it.
I mean, one of the
Built
bigger
for it.
kids. Yeah,
Built
built
for
for
it.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what had happened. Let me just
had happened
preface the
was-
whole story with this. I taught the man child to do his own laundry. And the reason is I told him, and I still to this very day tell him, no woman's going to take care of you. You have to do it yourself.
Yep. Now, I'm going to pause you real quick because I'm
Mhm.
going to give a warning to all of our listeners. We're going to say some shit here that is not politically correct.
And it's not nice, but let me
Yeah.
explain how we got there.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I do not use these words in everyday language, obviously. I was working a full-time job at a trash company. You were working a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Running a car
We
dealership.
were
Yep.
side business. We had a side hustle going on. That's when my mother worked not at home. So, like, I would have to drive from Indianapolis back to our house to pick up said man-child to take him all the way back into town to do football, which
Yep.
is fine. All I asked was that his shit be ready when I got there.
Yep.
Okay, and I had particularly had a rough day that day. So I was hustling. I was stuck in Indianapolis traffic. It was terrible. I get home.
Yeah, I-69 commute is no joke. And
No,
if anybody
it's
has done
really
that
not.
shit, you know what we're talking about.
Like, you're the real MVPs here.
Yeah, I will never do that again.
No, not again. So I get home. The man-child's not ready to go to football.
Mm-mm.
And, like, I am, like, literally 10 to 15 minutes behind. And anybody who knows me knows I do not like to be late to anything.
Nope.
I may be slow, but I am never late.
If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
So he's not dressed. He's not ready. And I've had it. And he was like, well, my football clothes aren't dry. And I was like, did you put them in the dryer when you got home from school? Yeah. I go down there to figure out why said football clothes are not dry. And it's because this little asshole put in a whole load of wet clothes, which was the football uniform,
Mhm.
in the dryer that was full of already dry clothes.
Mhm.
And decided that he's just going to dry it all together. Well, it kept shutting off because
I
shit was
thought
dry.
Most of it was dry.
Yeah. I go and I pull it out and I said, did you put wet clothes in a dryer full of dry clothes? Well, yeah. I looked at him and this ladies and gentlemen, is when I lost my shit. And Jason nor the man-child will ever let me forget this. So
Nope.
trust me, they beat me up for it most days more than I do.
Oh, I don't beat
Like,
you up.
I don't need nobody else
I
to
don't
do
beat
it
you up.
for
I
me.
just think it's hilarious as hell.
I looked at him and I said, "Are you fucking retarded?" And he looked at me and goes, "I don't know, maybe." Like, he looked like, for the love of God, he was like, "I might be."
He questioned his existence at that point in time.
I looked at him and I said, "You're going to have to wear him wet. I don't know what to tell you. I guess you'll learn your lesson."
Yep.
And he did.
Yep.
That never happened again.
Nope. Never made that mistake again.
No.
But the best part was the phone call I got from you while I was at work.
Oh, I was so upset.
You were bawling your eyes
After
out.
the fact, I realized I'm a terrible mother. I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, you were bawling your eyes out. You're like, I've scarred the child for life. Like,
We laugh about it to
yeah.
this day.
And we even talk with him about it, and he laughs about it.
He's like, "Remember that one time?" I'm like, "Stop. You don't get to use that for the rest of your life." You do, but.
Yeah. It's that little piece of, little nugget of,
Well, he started
growing
his
up.
senior year
yeah.
Wednesday. And I really, truly do not know where time has gone.
Same.
I feel like one of those stereotypical people that's like, it's way faster than what you think, but it really is. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to realize that your tiny child is almost a full-grown adult.
Yeah.
And that's hard as a parent. That's hard to come to terms with.
Yeah.
And I still am. And I'm not doing the greatest at it.
Oh.
No, I'm doing okay. I'm struggling. Some days are better than others. Like today, I'm about to cry just because I'm like, how has this happened?
Yeah.
Where has time gone? How am I so old?
Yeah. You're 30 for the 9th time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shit.
No, and interestingly enough, it's something like I think I even brought it up last night when we were running some errands, right? And I'd explained to you that just after running the errands, we were driving home. Like I remembered as a kid, like in the summer months when I would spend time with my grandparents, I'd spend time with my grandmother, and she, my grandfather worked at that point in time, and she, she had like all kinds of things with the church she was involved with, and all kinds of like small groups and social groups, and different errands and things that she donated her time and whatever to, and she would always have me come with her to like run errands and like go pick things up. Like, oh, I need to pick up a new comforter for the bedroom. We have guests coming in this weekend.
Right.
Or I need to go pick up something for, a wreath I'm making for the church, or,
Right.
those types of things. And we would just walk in. She would get what she needed and walk right out right out the door and move on to the next thing. Like it was nothing. And then
She never, what you're talking about is she like never scoffed at the price
Yeah,
or
she just-
him-hawed about the
yeah,
price.
because
And so we did that last night.
Yeah, because, I can remember being late teens, early 20s, living on my own, and just being like,
Sorry,
oh
I
my
had to
God.
Pop my elbow. Ow. Shit,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
you're just hitting things.
It got wild. Sorry.
Yeah,
I had
you're
to
just
pop
going
my
crazy.
elbow.
So, like, I can remember being late teens, early 20s, and going out and being like, okay, can I afford this? Can I do this week? Can I, really just having to focus in, hyper focus on budget and what the needs versus wants were, and all those other things. And it just had this realization. It was almost like circling back, circle back
Circle back now. Whoop,
all the
whoop.
way back to when I was a kid, and realizing that we are now at that point that she was at, where you put in the time, you put in the effort, and you get to a point where you just go. You're not worried about things. You're not hyper focused on like budget or time or any of those things. You're more focused on
You just have things to do.
doing the things that need to get done.
Yeah.
And it was just a very interesting, like it just came full
It
circle.
was an
like
interesting parallel to you last night for sure.
Yeah.
And we really just in the last, 4 or 5 years gotten to where like we still live on a budget, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but like we don't worry like if we need to go and spend XYZ or if we go out to dinner, like we're not worried about it.
Yeah.
And that's just really come in the last 4 or 5 years since I got a big adult job, like with my nursing degree and whatnot. Um, and what did I tell you last night? I will work to the ends of this earth to always live like that.
Right. Yeah.
And
Same.
it's not about being rich. Like,
No.
of course, I would love to be rich and independently wealthy, but at
You
the
know,
same
stare
time,
off into the distance as you pump your gasoline.
well, I'm at that point now, thank God. But like maybe when I'm pumping my gasoline to my yacht,
Yeah.
I'm staring off into the sunset.
Well, you wouldn't be pumping the gasoline. You'd stare off into the sunset while watching somebody pump the gas into your yacht.
Yeah, and hopefully they're good looking or something.
Oh,
And that's
thanks,
why I'm
honey.
staring at them. No, like
Thanks,
not
honey.
to be a creeper, just like,
Uh-huh.
anyways. But no, we really just got to that point in our lives when I got out of like nursing school and stuff. And I will always work my ass off to make sure that we live like that because I've lived dirt poor. I've
Mhm.
lived where I had 2 jobs, went to college, didn't know how I was going to pay for rent. Like, I've lived like that. I lived like that during my divorce. Like, I will never do that again.
Yeah. Not about that life.
No, absolutely not. Not when, like, you can pick up overtime left and right. Like, in my job,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. I'm clearly just basing this off of my profession. But, so we were actually talking about being kids along with that yesterday.
Mhm.
And I brought up the fact that I thought when I was a kid, if I went to somebody's house, like for a get together or something, and they had liquid cheese, they were rich.
And that's like the weirdest thing because like
I don't know why
I've
that
never-
correlation.
I've never had that, like there were things that I would see at someone's house that I'd be like, oh, they're well off or, stuff
Now-
like that. But liquid cheese is just kind of
Well, that was when I was little, but when I I
like
bought
Cheese Whiz liquid cheese, like in
no,
the can.
like the
In a
nachos
tub
at
of-
like the ballpark type.
Like
like
in
this-
the actual dispenser?
Yeah.
Who the fuck had that? I never saw that.
Well, I had friends like in high school that had their parents entertained all the time, and they would have pool parties, and
And they
were the
literally had a
rich ones.
pump
Yeah.
of liquid fucking cheese sitting up.
They
by
also had the Margaritaville margarita maker.
well, I can see that pool party.
But I'm
right.
just saying, like they were like bossing.
like
That's not
shit.
even how you use
Like
that.
you just walk up, just
You're like on your
Yeah.
nachos, man. Like that, you made it to me. You still
Wow.
have if you have that.
I mean, I could see that. That's a step up. That's next level.
Now, when I
That is next level.
bought my first house, I was 23. I was very fortunate that way, but I remember after buying my first house, if you had tile floors, you had money. In my mind, at 23,
Yeah.
if you had tile and not linoleum, you had money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can see
imagine when I met you for the first time and your kitchen had tile.
I know it had tile. It had hardwood.
I know it was like, homie's like rich, man.
yeah, I had like 2 vehicles sitting in the driveway. You're like, holy shit.
No, I'm serious.
And
yeah.
I was just like the weird car guy.
Yeah. And I've always kind of been into cars, so it worked out perfectly.
Right.
I love anything that drives on wheels.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really do.
Or
Like-
on water.
or on water.
Yeah.
Like adult go-karts. When's that going to happen, sir?
I know. I've been thinking about it and pondering it because you know me, I'm the researcher.
You really are.
I mean,
I am not, obviously. I'm like, YOLO.
like hell, I'll when it comes to like microphones for like the podcast or for like recording music or something like that, I do so much research just on the stupidest little variances just to make sure. That's my tism.
That's your tism.
That is my tism to make sure that
Mine is I
we're
just buy it.
getting right. And then a lot of times you're like, I should probably return this because it doesn't do what I want it to do.
That or they're really good buys.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like
you're
the
like,
mini fridge.
yeah, you're just like, oh, it's such a value.
Yeah.
And then we don't use it.
Hey, we do the little one. The little fridge out there.
What one?
The little one on top of the
The little
fire-
tiny like Coke can fridge?
Yes.
I have never once used that thing.
I have.
Have you?
I have water in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
just
grab
know it-
one out of there all the time,
I-
like the little short bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know we had talked at one point in time. We want to have like a master suite in our house that has like a coffee bar and a little fridge and those
Yeah.
types of things. So we can just not leave the room.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Baby
Yeah.
steps.
So
That's next.
next house.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Next house.
We'll have an espresso and a wine bar.
Yep. Yep.
Decisions were made.
Because I'll be drinking the espresso and the coffee. You'll be drinking the wine.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay, so we need to go back this. So, what did you think about people if they were rich? What did they have in their house?
When I was a kid, I would probably say Honestly, having an in-ground pool was very much so
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, you're
As a
you're
kid, it was a
yeah,
pool, period, for me,
yeah. No, and
because we lived out in the country.
yeah, but for me it was like, okay, like I'd been around above ground pools and pop-up pools and stuff like that, and but to have somebody that had like a dedicated in-ground
Hmm.
pool, that was
That's me now as an
that was
adult.
that was the bee's knees. Like that was okay, yeah. They were doing something with their
That's who
lives,
I
you
am
know.
as an adult.
And then when I got like a little bit older, like probably in my 20s, I think it was more along the lines of having dedicated spaces to service their interests, if that makes sense. So like they would have like a
Like
like
a
a bar,
library,
like a library, or they would have
like a bourbon
a
room.
bourbon room or a bar, or they would have, a very dedicated, like, because I was into music in my 20s, like they would have a studio or a
Hmm.
dedicated office to those types of things. Because growing up, well, not necessarily growing up, but like when I got out on my own, it was like little 2-bedroom apartments, 1-bedroom apartments. Like it
Hmm.
was never something that had substantial space to it where you
Hmm.
could kind of spread out. So in my 20s, when I would go to somebody's house and see those things, I'm like, oh shit, they're doing something with their
Hmm.
life. And I think honestly now as an adult, I really don't know. I don't know what would trigger, because I have so many different views on like how I view people.
Hmm.
And I've met people like in the car business. Like I had an old boy, he was a farmer, came in overalls, like shit covered overalls, and would buy a new Corvette every year when
Well,
a new
my
one came
ex
out.
father in law, before he passed away, he owned a lot of land. He was a farmer, very smart with his money, um, very frugal businessman.
Hmm.
Walked into a local dealership with cash, a wad of freaking cash,
Hmm.
and said, and like looked, nobody would help him. So he walked in and asked for the manager. The manager came out and he pulled the wad of cash out and said, none of your guys came out and spoke to me, so I'm going to go spend my money somewhere
Hmm.
else.
Yeah.
And that happened more often than not, especially with farm people.
Yeah. Like you learn, in an industry like that, especially like, selling cars, like
Hmm.
you learn, don't judge a book by its cover.
No.
Don't. Because, there were plenty of times, like us, for instance, like I could be in a pair of cargo shorts and a cut off sleeveless shirt, and we bought a car that way.
Well, and I'm usually in jeans and
Yeah.
like
And we can go in,
Converse and a
and
t-shirt.
and for the most part, unless we're buying a $300,000 Mercedes or a Lambo or something like that, I mean, we could pretty much go in and buy what we wanted for the most part.
Yeah.
And, there were times where we would go in and look at different
And we would
things.
get snubbed. We
Oh
just did
yeah.
recently
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
A few times, and it was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
I didn't realize your business was that great. Cool.
right, especially in the downturn economy, but
Yeah.
fuck me, right?
Whatever. What do I know?"
Yeah, idiots. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, having the things that, thought that I would think that would make people appear to be better off in life. As an
Mhm.
adult, I don't really have something to balance that against, if that makes sense.
I think as an adult, I think like we've hit that age now where we realize there's no one size fits all with
Yeah.
wealthy people, I guess,
Yeah.
so to speak, quote unquote. Um, but we're not like that anyway. Like we will talk to anybody
Yeah.
or make friends with whoever, but it is interesting to see the things like that I do and in the old business that used to be in, which was the car business, and seeing those people who really have an exorbitant amount of wealth.
Hmm.
You would never guess it.
Right. Yeah.
You would never ever guess it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no, and literally, I can remember, like that the farmer that would come in and buy a new Corvette every year. I had a guy, he was in his 90s. His name was Fred,
Hmm.
and he would come in with his grandson every 3 months, every 3 months, and he would buy a brand new pickup truck, brand new Silverado in red, and a brand new Corvette, and he would drive it, put 1,000 miles on each one of them for 3 months, come
Trade it
back,
in.
trade it in.
Wonder why.
He just wanted something new. He never wanted to put a ton of miles on stuff. You know,
I
he didn't.
mean, that's smart.
I mean, he just wanted to have the availability, and he'd always had a
Mhm.
truck, and he'd always had a Corvette ever since he was like in his late 40s or something like that.
So that's just what he did.
Old General Motors retiree
Yeah.
that, you know, just never moved on, retired. I mean, and just did well for himself.
Mhm.
And I mean, he was kind of like the dealership mascot. It was crazy. Like he'd come in and everybody, you know, go and bullshit with him and hang out
Yeah.
with him. Super cool guy, had tons of stories. You'd never think. I mean, he'd roll in a ball cap and, you know, tucked in white, you know, plain t-shirt,
Mhm.
short sleeves t-shirt, jeans and tennis
Short
shoes.
sleeve shirt.
Yeah, you would never think it. And he'd come in and drop, you know, $200,000 in a drop of a hat.
Well,
Just
and I
crazy.
think that's funny because we've been in places. You took me into the Gucci store.
Mhm.
Maybe that's not where I had planned on being of all days to look, and I have looked raggedy.
Mhm.
But they always treat me very well in there.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Not other places, but the Gucci store has always treated me like that very well.
Yeah, I noticed that when we went that one
And
time.
the Louis Vuitton store, they're always very nice to me too.
Yeah.
Um, and then you go into some of the other stores, like I've never had an issue there, but like Tory Burch per se, and then they're rude to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
the
it makes
fuck?
no sense. Yeah, and I think it's just I also think it's a different,
Mindset too, I think.
well, it's a different culture in that specific business too.
Mhm.
You know, if you've got a business that is high end focused, you know that, you know, anybody could be a potential customer. You
Mhm.
really do, because how many billion, I mean, look at Bill Gates, for Christ's sake. I mean, he walks around in, you know, like a long sleeve shirt,
A polo and
yeah,
a
or
sweater.
a polo and a sweater and just
Yeah.
random stuff.
Mhm.
Lives super frugal, looks like, you know, just a school teacher. And this guy could buy the entire United
Looks like
States essentially.
Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory.
Laboratory, a little bit, yeah. You know, but he's more focused on his philanthropic endeavors and, you know, his charity, you know, all these different things. So you don't think about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think the higher end type places, they have that mindset of, okay, you know,
Literally anybody could be a customer.
anybody.
Yeah. And that's funny because like there have been many times in our life where I could buy a bag at any store if I
Mhm.
wanted to, but I've chose not to because I really struggle with that.
Yeah.
But like I could be their customer. You're like you said, they don't know it.
Yeah. But then you go into kind of some of the more mid-level and lower
Yeah.
level stuff, like the
Like
nor-
Coach.
like the normal
I'm not gonna
stuff.
lie. The full price Coach store, they can be rude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Though you also have to think of the company culture and what they're pushing out for their employees. I mean, it's not like they're
Mhm.
paying those employees a ton. It's not like they're
No.
giving them a ton of commissions. You know, they're basically just putting them out on the floor saying, "Hey, go help the customers." Whereas the high end stuff, they're getting paid. They're getting taken
Yes.
care of. They're getting
Yes.
that proper training.
Well, and what's funny is when we went into Coach store, remember I saw that bag and it was on a shelf.
Which Coach store?
The one at the fancy mall that you take
Oh,
me to.
what was that? Von Mar or whatever?
No. When we actually went into Coach and they had that beautiful blue bag and it was on
Oh,
the
yeah.
it was on the 30% off shelf and it was not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, since you saw it, we'll give it to you at 30% off." And I wasn't gonna buy it until I was like 30% off.
And I was like, sold.
Yeah. And
I was like, just
it.
do it. Yeah,
bought
it's
it.
fine.
That was like my yes, I
Yeah.
got him moment.
Yeah, you got them. Yeah, you will sell it to me for what it's marked at.
I'm not like that though either. Like they fully called themselves out.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
gave it to me. I wasn't gonna fight with them. Like shit happens. I worked in retail for
Yeah.
years. Like people set shit down all the time.
Yeah.
But then when they were like, "No, we'll give it to you for that," I was like,
Yeah. I love it
"Okay."
when they, you know, like I've had experiences where, like the local auto parts store around here. Like I went to pick up like Freon because I was trying to recharge the Freon in your
Mhm.
Tahoe for your AC. And they literally had what I was buying on a shelf with a price tag. And that was it. And there was that and the price tag and there was nothing else. So there's no place else to put it where there's a different price.
Right.
I take it up and she rings it up and I'm like, "No, it's like $15 cheaper over there. Like that's not right."
They tried to fight with you, didn't
Oh,
they?
she argued to death with me. And
Why
I
didn't you just walk her over there?
I did. And she's
Oh
like,
my
"Oh, well, no,
God.
that's the wrong one." Okay, but all of the
All
product
of them
is
are
here.
there. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
there's no
just
place
an
else to put it.
accident.
Yeah. And so she just really, and I was just like, hey, you should probably fix this. Like, I was like, all right, cool. I'll pay for it. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal, but it's still kind of just shitty. Like,
$15, I mean, is a lot of money.
yeah, but price it right.
Right.
Do your job,
And she
essentially.
probably just left it like that.
Yeah. But she wanted to argue with me and start getting
Oof.
shitty. And I finally looked at her and said, ma'am, can I buy the fucking thing or not?
Yeah.
Are you going to sell it to me or not?
Like, I have to buy it
yeah,
regardless.
I'm not,
I'm buying
I'm not
it.
stressing over the $15, but I'm just letting you know. And she just wanted to argue. And I'm like, why would you do that?
I don't like people like that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's crazy.
Speaking of assholes,
Okay, stop talking about me now.
you already knew.
Yeah, I know.
So I actually wanted to talk about this. I wanted you to read this Am I the Asshole story that you picked out because
Mm-hmm.
I had a similar experience. And I'm not going to tell you how it went. Well, you know how it went, but I'm not going to tell everybody else how it went yet.
I really don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Okay. Well, read the Am I the Asshole story.
Okay, so we're doing the segment, Am I the Asshole?
Yeah, about the dog in
Yeah.
the car.
Well, no.
Oh, I wanted to do that
No,
one.
we're not doing that
Oh,
one.
shit.
No,
Okay,
this
never
one's
mind.
our dogs.
Oh, well, yeah, we already did that one.
No, we didn't.
Everybody knows our dogs are assholes.
No, but there's more to it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's more to it.
Okay, my bad.
Okay. Because we really didn't give our dogs the benefit of the doubt. Because you got to think, we're surrounded on all three sides in our backyard by other people's dogs. Okay.
Which we're not used to, by the way.
Yeah. We used to live on a property that had a big fence, like a couple acres, and it was just, separate.
It was us
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah. So are our dogs the assholes for eating our fence and obsessing over the neighbor's dogs and tearing things apart? Like, and I mean, our one dog will rip
She has ripped
portions of our wood fence
that we just
apart,
had
put in
done
last
last
year.
year.
Yeah. So I have to constantly fix it and
Like
put new
pickets are
boards
just
in.
snapped.
Yeah. Barking all the time, going crazy. Mac obviously thinks he's like king shit and can tear apart everything and everybody.
does.
Yeah, he tries.
Yeah.
But we work really hard to control our dog's behavior. We'll bring them inside. We'll discipline them, try and break their attention by having, playing with them and, getting them to not focus on the neighbor's dogs. My thing of it is, just because they act that way, should our neighbors be better at how they control their dogs?
I want to say yes and I want to say no. And this is why.
Okay, throw it on me.
We have some neighbors that don't give a fuck.
Right.
And they'll just let their dogs bark at our dogs. And so we intervene because we feel like it's rude.
Right.
So there's that. So yes, they are the assholes.
Yes.
I think they should do better. We have other neighbors, though, who have a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Who they
a big
are.
puppy now.
Yeah, he's a rather large dude.
Yeah.
But they're trying to discipline him, but they're also, I think, trying to do like gentle discipline
Yeah. Yeah.
would be like the word I'm thinking of. And
Yeah.
they're older too.
Yeah.
And I think they are trying.
I think they're trying.
But I think they could do better.
Yes.
But they're
yeah.
trying.
Yes.
Now, the other ones with their dog, they do make their dog go inside. For the most
Are you
part,
talking
they
about
do.
the young ones or the old ones?
The older people.
No, they don't.
They don't?
Nope, they don't.
Oh, they have when I've been out there.
No, like it's literally got so bad and that fence got so tore up over there. I literally built an auxiliary fence to shut that area of our yard off
Because that's going to be
and create a garden
my
space.
new garden.
Yeah. But that also was a secondary deterrent to keep our assholes away from that fence.
I just had a thought, though.
What?
So Lacey and I went to the plant store over the week. During the
Plant
week.
store?
Yeah. And so her cats actually, there's a point, I promise. Her
Okay.
cats like to eat her plants,
Mhm.
succulents and non-succulents. Well, the guy working there said, go to the dollar store or wherever and buy a cheap bottle of hot sauce, put it in a spray bottle with water
Mhm.
because it doesn't hurt the plant, but it will deter the animal from obviously chewing.
Mhm.
I bet if we sprayed our fence with some hot sauce, they would stop.
I'm gonna go with probably not. And do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because Harley, our Lab Coonhound mix, for those of you that don't know her or not familiar with our dogs in person, she is the one that typically rips the fence pickets apart and
Mhm.
rips wood off. Like I have screwed wood panels to the bottom of the fence to try and
Yes.
reinforce things, right? Like
We're looking real white trash
it's so
without
fucking
even trying to
brand
look
new,
white.
brand new
new
fence,
fence.
and I look redneck as fuck.
We do.
But
We look like we got the OK Corral on the other side where you hung the other stuff at.
but what I'm gonna say is, she has gone on after those fence pickets so bad that I guarantee she has splinters lodged in her jaws somewhere
Oh, yeah.
from these fence pickets over the past year or two that she's been really doing this.
It's really been bad this summer.
Yeah, because we have a third dog to play with now. That's
Mhm.
so we're surrounded on all three sides. So they're constantly running the yard, patrolling.
Yes.
But she has not been deterred
By anything.
by pain from the wood, from the fence. Like I really doubt
We're
that-
talking about planting a row of big trees.
and then putting an auxiliary fence in front of it.
Just to keep her, like a metal one,
Yeah.
just to keep her away from it.
Yeah, because that's what I had to do with the auxiliary fence I literally put up like a metal fence in a
metal
wood
fencing.
in like a wood trimmed panel,
Mm-hmm.
so they could not get through. Like, because she can't get through that.
Yeah.
Like, it's super heavy.
And so it's been working for us. thus
Yeah.
far.
So I guess I'm just gonna have to do that to the rest of the yard. We're just gonna have a double fenced yard. Ooh, yay. So in a way, I'm gonna go with indifferent. I'm gonna go with neutral.
No, they are assholes.
Yeah, well, to a degree.
Okay.
To a degree. But they're also not the assholes because they're just responding and protecting their yard when the neighbors should be doing a better job.
I don't disagree.
So that's where I say I'm
They're half
neutral.
and half.
Yeah, they're half and half. So-
Okay, so I can't wait to jump in this next part because I feel very, very, very strongly about it.
Okay, are we doing the first one or the second one?
The first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you remember when like the Ancestry DNA and all that came out, and it was a big deal. Everybody was buying kits for family, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I
And just so
totally-
everybody knows, this is our conspiracy theory segment.
But this is something I wanted to talk about anyway.
Yeah, I knew. I knew it
honestly.
was coming, but
So I've always wanted to do it,
mhm.
but I never have. And everybody's like, "Well, why don't you just buy that?" And I'm like, I just feel really weird about it.
Yeah, don't want your DNA out there.
Well, as somebody who grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries and all that shit, people could like you piss off the wrong person, like politician or
Mhm.
somebody powerful, your DNA suddenly lands on a crime scene.
Well, yeah, it's like those people
Coincidence? I think not.
that like sell their sweaty socks or underwear.
I think about all
and
that.
stuff like
I
that.
know, I
like,
told the girls at work, and
yeah,
they're like, "What?"
yeah, I mean, it's one thing to take feet pics. It's another thing to take,
DNA.
yeah,
Send
DNA.
DNA to somebody. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I've never done it because I just thought that was weird, right?
Right.
Like a company has your DNA, like you've never been in the system for anything else. I just think that that's really fucking weird.
Hmm.
But I've always wanted to do it. Well, then the nail in the coffin sealed the deal for me the other day. Blackstone, the grill company, has bought out Ancestry. Is it Ancestry DNA or Ancestry.com
Ancestry.com, yeah.
DNA? Or they've bought it all. Is that not weird?
Now, why would a grill company?
Now, this random ass third party grill company has all these people's DNA, and nobody thought that was weird?
Are we sure it's Blackstone, the grill company?
Yeah. I looked it up. Make sure.
Okay.
I'm 99% sure, guys.
Okay, so there's a 1% chance it's
There's
Blackstone.
a 1%.
Something
Yeah.
else, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I'm sure it's a conglomerate
regardless-
company. Yeah.
Regardless, your DNA has been sold now.
Yeah, it's been sold. It is now owned by a private,
Like, you can't control that.
publicly traded.
Yes, you
company.
can't control where that DNA goes.
Nope.
I'm telling you, it's fucking weird.
I mean, there's what do you think that means for the general public going forward?
I don't think it necessarily means anything, but as a person who I've never done it, obviously, but I would be upset if my DNA had been sold to another company without my consent
Right.
or without the option to buy it back or receive it back. Your DNA, I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably like all kinds of things that you sign off on when you
Yeah.
send the DNA in. Anyways,
And that's why I've never done it.
yeah,
Is I'm not really good at researching. I am a person that's like, oh, I'm gonna jump in head first. Is
that's
what
why
I
you got me.
I was gonna say dive and jump, and I said dump. I meant jump.
I mean, sometimes you just got to dump in first.
Jump in head first.
Yep.
And I never did on that one because something didn't feel right.
Right.
And now I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. Do you think like there's a potential for it to be used against us.
I think there's always that potential.
Yeah.
Potential. I can't talk today. I smell burnt toast. I think there's always that potential. Do I think that that's okay? Do I sound crazy for thinking people could leave it at a crime scene? Yes, I do. But weirder things have happened.
But it's also a legitimate potential concern. I
But
mean, it's not like it's unfounded.
but you can't tell me that when this first came out and people started buying these kits and sending their DNA off and having it run and all that, like, I guarantee you it was never a thought put out there or a super big warning about it being sold.
Yeah. No, I mean, you would just automatically assume, oh, well, I'm just sending it to them. They're
Yes.
going to have it forever.
Right.
Yeah, you don't think anything
I
of
just
that.
think it's weird.
Yeah.
Now, who gets the control of that DNA? And why is it just hanging out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think it's, I don't know if it's necessarily a conspiracy theory, but I also think that having a third party publicly traded company like that,
Own something so personal
yeah,
for no
having
real reason.
that kind of data
Yeah.
is
So-
it's just an interesting.
Well, here, let me
It could
say
go a
this
ton of different
to
ways.
the listeners. If any of you have done it, either in the beginning or recently or whatever, zero judgment. Let us know. I'm interested in what you have
Yeah,
to sign
like,
off on, honestly.
Yeah, what are your
'Cause
thoughts
we've never looked into it because that's how I feel about
on
it.
it? Right.
And so without paying a ton of money and doing it, I don't know how that works. So I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah, like is there something that you had to sign off on? Waivers,
Or is there
releases?
something that's ever come about the company being sold?
Right.
Have you ever
Yeah.
been notified? Anything like that? I'm interested to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Message us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us.
I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know these
We
things.
want to know all the things.
I'm nosy. I'm nosy AF. I tell everybody that. I'm the nosiest person you'll ever fucking meet.
Use the nosiest petty label.
I'm not
I know.
gonna tell your shit to anybody, but I want to know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's who I am.
Well, on that note, I'm going to finger gun you. I think it's time that we probably wrap up for this episode.
All right, guys.
But, like I said at the beginning, please like, subscribe, share, subscribe to the channel, YouTube, the videos.
Tell us all about your DNA situation.
Yes, please tell us all about that. We appreciate everybody that's been liking and following and, coming
Sharing.
along. We've had some random people that, through different algorithms have just kind of found us and messaged us and commented and stuff like that. So that's been really cool to have,
We've loved it. It's great.
people starting to engage outside of like our circle of people we kind of know and it to just kind of reach out further.
Well, I tell everybody at work, I'm like, hey, don't judge my podcast on my Facebook page. I'm like, I've actually been downloaded in 7 other countries.
Right.
And they're like, oh, and I was like, my Facebook page is just really kind of sad looking. But don't pay no mind to
Oh,
it.
we have a nice Facebook page. It's pretty.
It's getting better.
It's pretty.
I meant with like followers. Like there's no correlation of followers to my podcast as successful.
Right, because
what I'm trying to say. I
interestingly
can't
enough,
talk.
the subscribers on like our different listening platforms and
Are
all this other
higher.
stuff
That's what I mean.
far exceed
The Facebook.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to
exactly,
say.
yeah.
So if you see us on Facebook, it doesn't look that impressive, but we actually are.
Oh, and something else that I was going to share as a surprise to you. I have been working on our website. I've been
Oh.
building our website.
I didn't even know we were having a website.
I know. Surprise. I've been working on it. So,
Well, thank you.
So hopefully that'll be coming soon and we can get that information
Thanks
out.
to Jason for carrying all the way to the podcast.
My back is awfully fucking sore.
It always is.
It really is.
I don't want to hear it.
Carrying all the way.
All right, guys. We appreciate you guys coming.
Yes, very much so.
We hope to see you next or talk, whatever. See you.
Talk, listen,
week.
feel, whatever.
Feel?
It's awkward.
Okay. Awkward.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
We out.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Make sure to share and like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Adventures of E and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@Adventures of E. See you next time.